obviously the talk of the town last night, well, as of the airing of this show 2 nights ago on AEW Dynamite, we saw the long-awaited arrival of Mercedes Mone. She was a part of the opening segment, had an opening promo, and at the end of the show, she had a stare down with Julia Hart, who I believe is the current TBS champion. And this is after the main event, which was women, and that main event featured Willow Nightingale and Riho. So I wanted to know how you felt about Mercedes debuting in AEW.
Okay, first of all, I love the way she came out and the way she looked like money. Number two, I love that they started off the show with her and they didn't make the fans like sit around and wait. It's just like they knew what Boston came here for. They wanted to see their girl. So I like how they just started off the top of the show, letting her talk just so like they don't run into the issue of freaking her going over the time lapse. So they let her give as much time as possible, even though her promo was not that long, for her to talk about her arrival there.
Yeah.
Sorry, being a little bit distracted by background. Hi, Dad. That being said, whatchamacallit? Give me a moment.
Talk about her arrival.
Just give me a moment. I'm so bad at working through distractions. Okay. Yeah, so I like the fact that she came in, she was able to talk about her arrival at AEW, and she came in interestingly saying that I am home. And I like that the fact that she said that just because, after everything that transpired, a lot of people thought that maybe she's going to go back to WWE. That's where she originally wanted to be at. That's where she wanted to make it big. And I just feel like the idea that she came in and she let everyone know, oh, guys, I'm home. I'm home. Like, it's kind of letting you know that she's going to be here for a while. And She plans on being here for a while. A lot of people have been speculating that maybe she's just going to do this for a year or two, then go back to the E like everybody else. I like the fact that she kind of wanted to make this big point that I'm here to show up and the same way I changed the game over there, carry on here, So that's kind of like the main takeaway I got, that she wants to come and change the game yet again, and that nothing quite changed. Like, I evolved, I changed, I took the break that I did. I thank you guys for watching me along my whole journey. But like, there's still work to be done, and I'm going to do the work here. So I love that part very much. So I love the continuity of her bringing up Willow. Considering that last time we saw her, she got injured and then she kind of went off the grid. We did not know what was going to happen then. So I can't wait to go see that feud. But I also find it very interesting that she's basically gunning for the TBS championship. I don't have anything wrong with it. I actually think that it's smart to do because if you put her straight into like the world title division, then she doesn't really have a true chance to intersect with these people ever again. Sasha's always been the type to want to put over every single belt. And I didn't take the tag team title seriously until it was on her and Bayley, and then it was again on her and Naomi. So I think she's trying to do that with the TBS belt. Not that no one necessarily doesn't care at all, but I think she just wants you to care in general about the whole division, not just the top of the top. And she's going to try to do with that belt and that division, unfortunately, what Jade couldn't fully accomplish, because while Jade looked amazing with the belt and she did bring prestige to the belt, her wrestling ability wasn't there to bring out the best matches out of everybody. So you're going to get that opportunity with Mercedes before she jumps over for the world title. So I just thought in general, it was very interesting. It was very engaging. It was very exciting. She looked like she was happy to be there. She sounded very proud of herself, very mature, very sure of herself. And I just loved it. I love the overall presentation, and I'm actually a little bit more excited now that I've seen her presented than I was in prior, because I honestly was like kind of about her being over in AEW. But now she kind of grabbed my attention. What is your take on this?
So for starters, I'm very, very glad that she showed up. I'm glad that she is back in wrestling. I'm glad that she's in AEW. From a numbers standpoint, they released a stat saying over the past 12 hours, her return has generated over 8 million views in comparison to Adam Copeland, who had 27 million when he debuted. CM Punk, when he debuted in AEW, he had 46 million views. I kind of wanted to address that. I feel like Adam had a little more shock value. And CM Punk, obviously, he was away from wrestling for 10 years. So I don't think that it's fair to compare all three just because they are some form of debut or return to wrestling in AEW. And it doesn't change the fact that Mercedes is a game changer, that she is someone who is a draw. Her opening up the show and her closing out the show, I think, is a sign for things to come. I believe that she is placing herself well, before I even get into that, we acknowledge when Tony Khan does something wrong. We need to acknowledge when Tony Khan is right. He was right. He was right in how he presented her, even just from the little details, her pulling up in the Maybach, like setting the tone, right? Then her opening promo, and then her in the main event, her facing off with Julia Hart, who was the TBS champion, and also having a little bit of a moment with Willow Nightingale, right? Like we kind of talked about before she goes into like that world title picture, I believe that it's super important for her to be in a situation where she's adding value. I mean, she's already adding value by her presence, right? But I feel like Toni Storm is kind of doing some amazing work as the AEW World Women's Champion. And I believe that it's not a matter of just going after the world title right away, but putting yourself in a position where you're like, okay, what division needs the most help? Which aspect of the program needs the most help? What needs to be elevated? And I think that the TBS championship is the perfect thing that needs to be elevated. Wow, that was mad funny because of that scene change. But I think the TBS championship deserves to be elevated and deserves to be talked about. And I feel like, even though, like you said with Jade, I feel like when the belt went to Chris Statlander and then when it went to Julia, I think that it kind of lost a little bit of the momentum. So the fact that Mercedes is kind of positioning herself so that the belt has a little bit more oomph and that title scene has a little bit more prestige, I think is just like the best way to go. And I just really, really love the CEO, like the CEO chants, the CEO gimmick. It feels like an evolution of Sasha into who she is now. And also, we got to give it up for Bayley and for Naomi. You want to talk about some real friends, right? They were in attendance supporting Mercedes as she made her debut. And for y'all that's on the internet that's tribalistic and hating on them and saying that there was somebody that said that Bayley should be out of her WrestleMania match, which like shut up, bro.
Oh my God.
But it's just so glad to see them support each other. And it speaks a lot to Hunter and Triple H for saying, yeah, like, go ahead, support your friend. Like, I feel like that's not something that would have happened on Vince McMahon's watch. So kudos to Hunter for that. But yeah, I'm super excited to see what Mercedes does in AEW. Obviously, the tone has been set. I think that her implications have kind of been made known from her first night, that she is the main event and that whatever title picture she is in is the main event. It's not just about the world title. So whatever she decides to attach herself to, whether that be the TBS title, a feud with Willow Nightingale, whatever. So I believe that, there's going to be more great things to come. And I'm just super excited for Mercedes. But let us know how y'all feel in these comments below about the arrival of Mercedes Mone to AEW. But we're going to be moving right along.